Our guys at Chatterbox Reviews come at you guys with my review for Season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. Alright, so we are back with another season of What We Do in the Shadows. This has been one of my favorite comedies on TV for 4 years now, really, right? Ever since Season 1. Remember, I did a review for the series premiere, season 1, episode 1, on the channel, when it was airing, and I was positive on it, but I wasn't, quite sure what to think at that time. I hadn't seen the movie, the Taika Waititi, Jermaine Clement movie that this series is based on. And I wasn't quite sure what to think. I liked it, though. And then, as season 1 went on, just really grew on me. A couple of those episodes, Baron's Night Out, the trial episode was, really just got me into the show. And I've been hooked ever since. Every time there's, been a new season, I've been watching every week, especially with this one. So really happy to talk about this one. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on what your opinions are of the show, but particularly what you thought of this season, season 4 of the show. So love to discuss with you guys, what you thought. What are some of your favorite moments? I'll definitely share mine. What were some of the weaker moments for you? What really worked? What didn't? All that stuff. Love to discuss this one with you guys. And if you enjoy this review, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel as well. Would really appreciate that. So without any further ado, I'll start off kind of non-spoilers here at the very beginning. Just briefly, and to share my thoughts of the season, maybe how it compares to previous ones. And then, I'll give a spoiler warning, just kind of light spoilers, talking about some of my favorite moments, some of my favorite episodes, a couple of my criticisms as well with this season. And I do want to talk a little bit about the kind of cliffhanger that we get at the end of the season in the finale. So definitely stay tuned for that. So this 4th season of the show sees the return of our vampire crew, along with their familiar Guillermo, of course. However, though, it's important to note this season that one of the vampires has taken on a different form. And of course, we found out at the very end of last season, they kind of did this twist on us, right, where we thought Colin Robinson was going to be gone in the show. We weren't sure. And then I guess about an episode later, or maybe even later on in that episode, then we get kind of the reveal that he may have just taken a different form. Of course, they play that out in this season for sure, a little more. But yeah, so definitely we got that glimpse of it. And that plays a big part here. And so similar to previous seasons, this one also includes some great guest appearances. That's one of the great things about this show, and has been since season 1, really. And I even mentioned that trial episode, right? Like the greatest example of these guest appearances. And they always do such a seamless such a great job at kind of seamlessly, putting these appearances in there. Even some of these bigger names, like, just having them in there, interacting, it always feels so natural and organic. And the stars they get, obviously, you can tell, really want to, play with these, actors, this cast, and they all do a great job. So this season, we some of the names we have is Sal Vulcano, Fred Armisen, who's been in a lot of stuff recently. Really a big fan of Fred Armisen. Affion Crockett, who plays a rapper in this, a vampire rapper that is in this season. The Sklar brothers, who play a big part in one particular episode. Then we get some just kind of guest cameos, I would say, of Sofia Coppola, Jim Jarmusch, and Michael McDonald. And of course, those are just some of the names. There are definitely a few others, but really great to see those guest appearances and some of those bigger names there. A lot of these names, of course, are kind of, they're obviously not lead, actors, but just some great character actors and some great people from some really kind of standout shows and movies, and even, comedy sketches and that. Of course, the Impractical Jokers, Sal Vulcano is coming from there. So anyways, so in terms of my thoughts of this season as a whole, I thought it was a bit of a step down from season 3, but not that much of a step down. I think this is very similar to season 3, just a little bit worse. And yeah, so definitely not on the same level as season 2, which I still think is the best season of the show, and not on the same level as season 1. I think these last 2 seasons have been just a bit of a step down. Don't get me wrong, this season has some very high highs and some great moments throughout, just as season 3 did. I still think that episode, the casino in season 3, is maybe the best episode that they've done in the series, but just as a whole, season 3 was a bit of a step down, and that's the way I feel about this one too. There's some, as I'll talk about, some of my favorite episodes, really great episodes, and some great moments throughout this season. That I think a lot of people will like, including myself, loved, a few of these moments. But just as a whole, it just feels like it's not as consistent as, even season 3, and definitely not as consistent as the first 2 seasons, where, in this season, I felt like, we're kind of just, picking kind of, it kind of depended on what the concept for the episode was, of whether or not it was going to be really good, or, you kind of knew at the offset of each episode where it was kind of going. Whereas I felt like in the first 2 seasons, at least, especially season 2, almost every episode was just, firing on all cylinders, and you really, it didn't really matter what they were doing. It was funny, and it was just really great to watch. Whereas, this season, I felt like it really was kind of dependent on, what the concept was and where they were going with each episode. And unfortunately, it just wasn't that same consistency that we saw in those first 2 seasons. This season, where it kind of stands out from season 3 to me, is it did feel like a little less creative with incorporating some of this vampire lore and that kind of the mythical creatures and that kind of stuff that I really love about the show. And I think, is just one of the many reasons why it's one of the best comedies on TV, because there's really nowhere else you're going to get this stuff where they make comedy of some of this, some of these, mythical creatures and this, lore that's usually played very serious, and other vampire shows and movies, and that, and they just do such a great job of twisting it and having these comedic, beats around these concepts. But I just felt like I was kind of lacking this season. We didn't get a lot of those kind of moments, and those kind of, concepts guiding these episodes, where we did in previous seasons. So that's just me. Maybe I really like those elements, so maybe that's something I noticed a little more than others. But that's something that stuck out to me. But I will say, nevertheless, What We Do in the Shadows continues to be one of the best and most unique, as I said, comedies on TV right now. And this season is undoubtedly up there for me in the best comedies of the year. And it's been a pretty good year for comedies overall. So I think that really is saying something. We've had some great ones. I mean, Righteous Gemstones season 2 knocked out of the park, and in my opinion, Barry season 3, I thought was a bit of a step down probably from the first 2 seasons, but still some just hilarious moments, some really great stuff from there. Even Hack season 2, I thought was a step up from the first season. Reservation Dogs has been great. Resident Alien. So I'd go on, but there's been a lot of great comedies this year, in my opinion, and this one is definitely up there. So yeah, bit of a step down, but even as a step down, What We Do in the Shadows, to me, is still one of the best comedies on TV right now, no doubt. So, anyways, I'll give a bit of a spoiler warning now, getting into some details of some episodes that I'll talk about. So, if you care about that, or, if that's going to be a big issue for you, maybe watch the season through, and then come back once you have. Alright, so just want to start things off by talking about this cast. Great job from all of them once again this season. Just some great stuff. I mean, Kayvon Novak, Matt Berry, Natasha Dimitru, Harvey Guillen, even, Kristen Schaal being, I think this was her first season or maybe last season. She's been up to a regular now. And so, I mean, she would definitely be my least favorite kind of out of that regular cast. I'm just not sure that they use her, in the same kind of, at the same kind of level, I guess, of our main players. But we've also been with them for 2 more seasons even, than what we've had of her. So maybe she'll grow on me, as we go. But, nevertheless, I think Kristen Schaal does a great job there as well. But to me, I thought Mark Prox was definitely a standout. I mentioned it before in my reviews and my talk about the show, but I think Colin Robinson is my favorite vampire, my favorite character on the show. Mark Prox is just such a great comedic actor. He had a great role on Better Call Saul. Pretty short role, actually. It wasn't that many episodes, but he nailed it. Just hit it out of the park in that one. And then, of course, all his, comedy work that he's done. Just a really great actor. And I think he does a great job this season, really only acting with his face, right? For the majority of the season, where they kind of transpose, his face onto, the young kid's body, which I actually thought looked pretty good. After the first episode or first couple there where we see it for the first time, it's kind of jarring at first, and then I really got used to it. I really didn't, notice it that much as it went on, which I was pretty impressed with, considering, this show doesn't have the highest budget. It is a comedy at the end of the day. And so I thought they did a really good job with that. But I just thought he was so committed to playing the younger self, or the younger version of himself here. And yeah, I just thought he absolutely nailed it. So, great to see him back at the end, though. I really am happy to get the adult version of Colin Robinson back and see Mark Prox in his full glory. I was really happy to see him back. And obviously next season, he should be back, the whole way as adult Colin Robinson. So yeah, looking forward to that one. One of the one of the many guest star performances that were great this season was the Sklar brothers. I thought they were really great, or specifically, I guess, Randy Sklar, because I think he is the one who plays. I believe it's Toby, right? I don't know. I forget the names of, because they're actually brothers, the twins in real life, and then they're the twins in the show. I think he plays Toby, but anyways, he's the one that doesn't get killed. Randy plays Bran. I don't know. The one that doesn't get killed, that is Randy Sklar, who plays that character, and I thought he did an amazing job in that Go Flip Yourself episode. Just an awesome role that he played in kind of capturing that host, that host of like all those TV shows. That's exactly what they're like. So I think he captured that well. And then just playing off the other cast members in those scenes, I thought was just so great. So really great job. And that kind of spoils, of course, what my favorite episode was of the season, probably. But yeah, just a really great job from him. And also the other brother too. He did have some other scenes, because they teased this a little bit leading up to it, right? So he did have actually a couple scenes in other episodes, but just didn't play, a large role in this one after Nudge kills him very early on. So, yeah. Great performances from the cast all around, and these guest stars were also really great as well. Really good. So, in terms of my favorite episode then of this season, so we had a few in the running. To me, I thought Private School, of course, just a really great episode. Bit of a low concept episode. They're really almost just in one room the entire episode. But just the witty writing here and the back and forth was just hilarious. Laugh out loud funny. Almost the entire episode of them, doing this kind of gimmick, switching roles, switching the parents of college, trying to get them enrolled in this school. Just such a funny episode. So that was in the running. And then also the night market. I thought that was a great episode, especially that end sequence where Nandor and Guillermo are fighting, just that whole thing. And then you get the MC in the background saying these just hilarious, vulgar, things that he's shouting in the background. I thought that was also one of the best moments of the season. But to me, it's Go Flip Yourself. Episode 8, I thought was the best of this season. Such a different episode for this show, right? It was a bit of a risk, I bet. Having, and I've seen some people actually that this episode just didn't work for them. They didn't really like the departure from the regular kind of, feel to the show. And I can definitely understand that for sure. But, episodes like On the Run, even the Casino, in a way from season 3, On the Run for season 2, of course, those are some of my favorite episodes, but I can also see, even an episode like the casino, where people might be, kind of a little turned off by it. It's a little different, having the kind of, on location kind of stuff with the casino episode, would have been a bit different, would have been a bit jarring. But I think the risk definitely paid off for this one, especially because they committed so hard to it, right? If they had just done this episode and, played it kind of like a regular episode, but just had this, the go flip yourself kind of hosts in there and tried to, halfway do the concept, I don't think it would have worked as well. But, just so much commitment went into this episode and all the stuff that plays out. I mean, the graphics on screen with the overlays, they even incorporated the commercial breaks, right, with the little cliffhanger on the commercial break. Just absolutely amazing. I was just in love with this episode, just laughing hysterically the almost the entire time. And I just love as well how they've set up now that Laszlo is a fan of these guys, and so the way that this episode plays out with him, finishing the guy's sentences and knowing what episode this is from, I thought that was just so brilliantly played, and Matt Berry does such a good job. Even the way that they dress him too, in the work boots, and he wants to help with the construction. Yeah, I just thought this was really great. And again, I like that they teased it earlier in the season with that first episode, right, showing that Laszlo knew the show and was watching it. But then also they slid in a little commercial for the show in, I believe it's episode 6, I want to say. Anyways, one of the episodes before it, though, and really kind of getting us ready and teasing that this was coming. And I thought it worked out perfectly. I really think the execution was great here. So yeah, Go Flip Yourself, episode 8 is my favorite episode. In terms of the weaker episodes to me, I thought Pine Barrens episode 7 was definitely the worst to me. Then Freddy episode 9, I thought it was okay. It's just an okay episode, but not as good as some of the others. And I thought The Wedding episode 6, this one wasn't bad. I thought again it was okay. It was a good episode, but just felt a little underwhelming for what it was. When I saw this concept, and they were kind of building up to this in the season that Nandor's getting married, I thought that they were going to play with this a lot more. Thought they could really, there's a lot of potential there to do something with, a vampire wedding and what that looks like and what kind of norms they had. I thought they really could have, played with that and added some more comedic kind of, elements into that. But anyways, it was still good. I really love to see the Baron, seeing, him kind of, resurrected, Doug Jones, all in all his glory here, because we really never saw him. It was always him kind of in this, this creature costume, if you will, these prosthetics. So that was great. That was great to see him. Some really great moments. The objections to the wedding, that was great. But just as an episode, I thought this really could have been like one of the best episodes of the series, what they were building up to. But it just didn't kind of pan out that way. And yeah, so I thought that the Pine Barrens was the most frustrating, though, to me overall. I thought the potential for this, right? Laszlo and Nandor are out in the woods with Sean, going on this, staying at his cottage, not just back at home, with having a girls' night. Guillermo invites his family over. I just thought there was so much potential and so much to play with there, especially with Nandor and Laszlo. I thought just a great dynamic, get them kind of separated on their own, and let's see what they do, right? Especially with Sean there. But I just didn't like at all what they did. They had Nandor and Laszlo butting heads the whole time, when I thought they really should have just got along, and I think it would have been a lot funnier. And then the Jersey Devil, to me, though, was a great scene, of course. But I feel like they could have played with that a little more in that episode and had that as more of kind of a, constant thing of, oh, I wonder if it's out there. And they maybe could have, had them hunting the Jersey Devil or something. I don't know. That's just me. I thought there's a lot of potential there, and it was just kind of wasted with what they did there. But anyways, so I guess that just kind of speaks to my overall criticism with the show, as I mentioned off the offset. I just think it's a less consistent season. This Pine Barrens episode, great example. it's kind of a good concept, but just not really, that well executed, at least in my opinion. And so it really does kind of bring it down. Whereas, you see episodes like Private School episode 5, Go Flip Yourself episode 8. To me, great episodes, just hilarious. And then, episodes like episode 7 with Pine Barrens and Freddy episode 9, two of them that are kind of, around those other episodes, just not as good. It's just not on the same level to me. So that's where, this kind of consistency issue comes into play for me. And then just, like the less creative with this lore. The Jersey Devil stuff was great, but again, I just would have liked to see that more incorporated, especially in that wedding episode. I thought they could have done more with that. Some of the earlier episodes, of course, they bring in this djinn, right? The genie, essentially, throughout the episode or throughout the season, which I really enjoyed. And again, thought they could have played more with that and added some more kind of creatures in. They got the dodo bird in that, so they did some good stuff with that. But I just felt like, again, more potential there. And I feel like in previous seasons, episodes like Witches, that was a great one. Just introducing this lore that we're all familiar with. And just, making these witches that, milk come out of them. Like, just these absurd kind of scenarios that they lay out with these, creatures and this lore. And I just felt like that was a little missing from this season overall. So, anyways, and then just the last thing I noticed as well with this season, I've seen other people actually mention this too, is that we don't get a lot of episodes with the entire group together anymore. And I agree. I have to agree with that. Episodes like the casino, the trial, to me, those are, two of probably the best episodes of the series. And yeah, those, and even Private School this season, all the cast is together, all those characters in one room, and they just play, again, like I said about the cast, they play off each other so well that you really do need more of this kind of group together. And I feel like some of the best episodes come from that. So, that is something that I hope they do more in next season. But again, we didn't have Colin this season either, though, right? So, we couldn't have all of them necessarily together, really. And again, like I said, we'll have Adam Colin Robinson back next season, hopefully, the whole season, so they can all kind of mesh together and that group can be back together. But anyways, definitely look forward to next season for that. All right, so that finale, just a great cliffhanger there, I thought. I just wanted to touch on this, with Guillermo paying Derek to become a vampire. He wants him to turn him, into this vampire because he's so bored with everything. Nothing ever changes. I liked how they kind of played that out through this finale episode. What a kind of cliffhanger here. And this has kind of been building, of course, the entire series has really, been teasing this of Guillermo becoming a vampire. Will Nandor turn him? Who's going to do it? They've been playing with this for basically since the beginning of the season, or since the beginning of the series. And so, I guess the question is, will Derek actually do it? I have a feeling that he's not going to, or at least there'll be some waffling here. Because to me, I just feel like we're too early in the show to have Guillermo turn into a vampire. I feel like it needs to happen. I think it will happen. I think it should happen, but just not yet. Because we've already been renewed now for season 5 and 6. So we got a 2-season renewal from FX, which is awesome. And so I just think we're a little too early for that. Maybe in season 6, you make Guillermo vampire and you kind of just roll with that. I think there's a lot of potential for some really funny shit, to come from Guillermo being a vampire and getting used to his powers and everything. I think just a lot of great potential there, but I think we're a little too early on that. I'm going to push the brakes on that. So I'm sure we'll get some more, scenes with them together, see what Derek is kind of, see if he's going to do it or not. We'll see probably some waffling back and forth. But I think at the end of the day, he's going to refuse or something's going to happen here. And the plan's going to fall through. But those are just my predictions. Let me know what you are thinking. Is it too early? for Guillermo to become a vampire, or do you want to see it right away? Let me know your thoughts for sure on that one. But anyways, those are just about all my thoughts on season 4 of What We Do in the Shadows. Still, again, one of my favorite comedies of this year. Really great show, and definitely looking forward to season 5, even though this one was a bit of a step down to me, I think, from the previous seasons. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this review. And again, let me know your thoughts of this season down below. Really like to discuss with you guys for sure. But anyways, again, thank you guys so much for watching this one. And we'll see you then in my next review.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.